It is game day. Thursday night football is upon us. The Steelers, the Vikings. It's going down. The only two teams that have not beaten the Lions. But hey, it's a huge opportunity for the Steelers to go from 6-5 to 7-5-1 in this game. They need wins like this to finish the season strong. This is one of those games that they need to win if they want to make a real push at the playoffs. I'm Chris Carter of the Locked On Steelers podcast. It's crossover Thursday, though. We'll get Luke Braun of the Locked On Vikings podcast for an exciting episode, breaking everything down. And today's episode is brought to you by Stat Hero, the first of its kind daily fantasy sports platform where it's you versus the house in head-to-head fantasy matchups, winner take all. Sign up for free right now at stathero.com/lockedon and use the promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, locked on for a 100% deposit match. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Steelers, your daily Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is crossover Thursday here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Chris Carter here with Luke Braun. It's Locked On Steelers meeting Locked On Vikings. It's always a fun time when that happens. But Luke, both teams, these are the only two teams in the entire NFL who have failed to beat the Lions. Of course, the Steelers tied them a few weeks ago. The Vikings, unfortunately, lost to them just last week. This is
same point differential, baby.
Yeah, exactly,
0.
right? It's like, you know what? This is a special circle of hell
yes.
that fans have to enjoy on Thursday, and we have to cover all of it.
Yeah, I think we can make a run at the worst Thursday night game of the year. And there's been some clunkers, but I think we can do it.
I think we can do it.
I believe.
Listen, that's an accomplishment because Thursday night football has traditionally been bad. But I thought it was interesting. Ben Roethlisberger actually took a shot at the NFL earlier this week. He was like, listen, the only entity that wants this is the NFL because it makes them money. He's like, the players don't want it. The coaches don't want it. Nobody wants this. And maybe that's part of why it stinks all the time. But Luke, let's get into the Vikings situations. Injuries have been all across the NFL. It certainly hit the Steelers. It's hit almost every franchise. It's really hitting the Vikings right now. You know, can you update Steelers fans? What's the case with the biggest names on the team? I saw Adam Thielen's not going to play. I know Christian Darrisaw wasn't practicing, and Dalvin Cook, that whole situation's crazy. Can you just let them know who should the Steelers expect to play and not play that have been on that list?
Yeah, Adam Thielen out, Christian Darrisaw out. So you're going to get, I think, Oli Udoh again at left tackle. You might get Rashad Hill at left tackle. That's going to be a weak spot at left tackle. That you guys should move TJ Watt over there. I know he usually comes from the other side, but the Steelers should move TJ Watt to rush against the left tackle. And Dalvin Cook has a separated shoulder. He's listed as questionable, but all the reporting has been that it would be a surprise. My guess is they're going to do like a game day warm-up thing and see how it feels. I don't know. I'm going to say a little worse than a coin flip on Dalvin Cook, probably. But they are getting Eric Kendricks back, Anthony Barr back, Dalvin Tomlinson and Michael Pierce are back. You guys are familiar with Michael Pierce, who's on the Ravens for a long time. So the defense is starting to kind of be whole again. Patrick Peterson came off of COVID IR. He's been a really important piece. So the defense is starting to become whole again, just as the offense falls apart. It's really great.
Yeah, it's one of those unfortunate things where you can't get all on the same page, and that's been a struggle. I mean, Darrisaw, from what I was able to see, he was looking good in
he was playing all right, yeah.
Yeah, he was being an asset. Now not having him, I know you got a former Pitt guy and an O'Neal that was supposed to help there.
He's a stud.
Yeah, he's a heck of a player. I knew that about him when he was in college. As a guy who covers Pitt now, there's a lot of home there. But with just the issues that the Vikings have had, what are the things that they can even lean on at this point that you look at and say, hey, well, this will still be here? I know Justin Jefferson has just been a complete and utter monster whenever he's, especially the last 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, yeah. Justin Jefferson's insane, but he's kind of the only guy on the offense right now, especially if Dalvin Cook doesn't go. With no Adam Thielen, they have KJ Osborne. He's like a wide receiver 3 type though, so he'll get a few catches per game. But yeah, Justin Jefferson is insane. He's good at all the parts of the route. Like that's, I think, the most threatening part of him is his versatile skill set. He is phenomenal at releasing off the line, and he made it an emphasis to work on that this offseason. Good at the route stem, good at breaking off the route, good at the catch point. Like he can chew stuff up, he can set you up and knock you down. Like there's just nothing that he's bad at. So as a cornerback, there's nothing to attack.
Right, and that's something that becomes very lethal because then you can't pick at anything, you can't jam the guy, you can't play off of him and time certain things. That's where someone that's where someone becomes a problem. We certainly seen that from Justin Jefferson. I wanted to ask you though, we got to talk about Kirk Cousins because people look at his stat line and think,
do we have to?
25 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. What is going on? This guy's phenomenal. But you watch some of the games and you're like, oh, okay, and then you see him lining up under guard. And things like that. Just your phenomenon of just watching. Your phenomenon of just watching.
He did that.
Kirk, yeah, I don't know how. I don't know how that happened, and it was just so beautiful. I think it was Dalvin Cook who was like, "Oh no."
It was Madison, but yeah.
Oh, it's Madison. Okay, I was gonna say I just saw whoever that was in the backfield just be like, "Oh no, Kirk, get over." It's been such a bizarre thing. But what have you seen from? He has good touchdown to interception numbers. He just seems the weirdest moments where he's just like not there.
Yeah. So all of the numbers that make Kirk Cousins look good, it is like an indictment of those numbers. And it tells you what you need to know. But like touchdown interception doesn't tell you about situational awareness. It doesn't tell you about throwing short of the sticks on first down. It doesn't tell you about if you check it down, you get 8 yards. That probably looks decent on your passer rating, but that might not have been a good play if there was a wide open post down the field. And so those missed opportunities are kind of what have killed the Vikings offense at times. There is a decent amount of stuff wrong with the Vikings that just is not Kirk's fault. Offensive line sucks. The defense has had its problems with injuries and all that stuff. There's stuff that just sucks, and the offense is poorly designed, in my opinion. I do not like the offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, right now. But I think the biggest thing with Kirk Cousins is situational awareness. When the clock starts to become a factor and you have to think about it and you have to start working under different parameters, when the circumstances change, Kirk Cousins is not great at adapting to that. He kind of will run every play like it's the middle of the second quarter, instead of running it like with awareness. In a lot of 2-minute drills, he'll throw very happily to the middle of the field and let the clock run. And that has gotten the Vikings in trouble a lot, even in times when they maybe have time to do it or whatever. But they've had games. The game they won against the Lions, they ended up having to kick a 50+ yard field goal just because the clock kept running because Kirk Cousins kept throwing it over the middle. So that kind of stuff will contribute to losses, but not necessarily to stats, which probably explains that disparity. But not to sell Kirk Cousins too short. He has had some absolutely phenomenal outings, and he is a bit of a week-to-week proposition. He's accurate. He's got the arm. He's got all the talent you always knew Kirk Cousins had. The way I describe him on every one of these crossovers is he's Ron Burgundy. He'll read what's on the teleprompter no matter what's on the teleprompter. Paint by numbers quarterback. And so you don't get any of the improvisational stuff you guys are probably used to going against with somebody like, Lamar Jackson or Baker Mayfield, who are a little bit more runaround, schoolyard. Kirk Cousins is the opposite. Right. He's a robot, he's a computer, but he'll do exactly what the coaches tell you. So coaches love it.
That's certainly something that coaches do like to harp on when you just basically, hey, be here at this time and you keep that rhythm and flow. Before we keep it moving, I gotta ask about the defense first. I gotta ask about how my boy Patrick Jones doing, man.
He's doing okay. He was coming along slow. He's not getting a lot of reps. He's getting less than 10 a game right now, but he's getting his stuff, and there hasn't been anything too bad so far. He's a little over aggressive. So I think he's just got to settle a little bit, but that's part of the developmental arc. Every rookie gets a little bit too big for their britches sometimes, and then will make some mistakes. But no, he's doing okay. And also Jalen Twyman's still coming along, although he's not going to play this season.
Yeah. Just
still getting healthy.
Very unfortunate situation with him getting shot before the season started, but was very glad to see it wasn't like, career ending or anything like that. So hopefully see him going. But Patrick Jones, just an H2P guy over there. They had a big weekend winning the ACC title just last weekend. But my real question about this team is, what is the way to attack it if the Steelers are to get going? Because the Steelers offense, much like the you were talking about, their offensive line is not good. They have this talented running back, though he's been healthy, but he's been kind of a Ferrari in a gutter garage with the way that the Steelers offensive line has blocked at times. But he's also been a huge asset. Last week he got over 100 yards, from scrimmage to open things up. So what is the way if you look at the Vikings on tape and you say, man, a team better not do X, Y, or Z, what are the ways the Steelers should be attacking them?
Yeah, offensively, so the Vikings have a very slow secondary. Patrick Peterson's been fine, but he ain't as fast as he used to be. Bashad Breeland's speed's not his game. The safeties aren't. Harrison Smith's speed is not their game, right? So somebody like Deontay Johnson could be a really big asset to the Steelers in this. Somebody like is that your speedster? Whoever your speedster is, send that guy on a deep post. Yeah.
I would say Johnson and Claypool are pretty fast, but Johnson's probably the better guy to run that route.
Yeah, like the take the top off the defense guy. And I know the Steelers, like to have a couple of those. So that is a big mismatch. And then I think the Vikings struggle a lot with stunts on the offensive line. So stunts, twists, and games and stuff, the guards tend to overcommit. So if you watch the Vikings-Browns game, the Browns absolutely killed the Vikings on this. They've never rushed more than 4, and they absolutely demolished the Vikings offensive line. And then, like I mentioned before, the left tackle spot's a big weakness with Christian Darrisaw out.
Yeah, that's going to be a big thing to watch. We'll see what the Steelers do. Of course, they got T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith for this game. We're gonna flip the script in a little bit here, but first we got to talk to you guys about Stat Hero. No one plays daily fantasy sports to lose. Winning feels so much better. But traditional fantasy sports are a long-term losing proposition because you never know who or what you're up against. Stat Hero is the first of its kind daily fantasy sports platform where it's you versus the house in head-to-head fantasy matchups. Winner take all. And here's the crazy part. Stat Hero shows you their lineups before you play, and you handpick the team you want to face one-on-one. This never-before-seen innovation of a fantasy sports and sports betting hybrid has Stat Hero players clocking odds that are over 4 times better. Why? Because you don't have to compete against the thousands of experts or unknowns. Stat Hero puts you in control of your fate. With Stat Hero, you are in control of the stakes. You decide how much you're going to play for, and Stat Hero has no choice but to take it because they're daring you to beat them. Stat Hero is head-to-head what daily fantasy should always be, 1-to-1. Sign up for free right now at stathero.com/lockedon and use promo code LOCKEDON. That's LOCKEDON, all capital letters on one word, for a 100% deposit match. That's stathero.com/lockedon using promo code LOCKEDON for a 100% match. Stathero.com/lockedon, promo code LOCKEDON. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, everybody, moving on with this crossover Thursday. I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. Christopher Carter here with Locked On Steelers. Hello, Vikings fans. Hello, Steelers fans. So it's my turn to ask you about the Steelers, and I sure am curious, but I guess I'm going to start with the quarterback. Sounds like this is now the last ride for Ben Roethlisberger. Do we believe in him? Is he cooked? Is he done? Or what does he have left?
Ben Roethlisberger is it's definitely in the last rites. But I will say this: I don't think Ben Roethlisberger. Look, there's no hiding it. Like when it came out, when Adam Schefter was like, "Hey," so he's telling other people like, "No, Adam, we really didn't see that coming." When it was clear when he's falling on his face as he's throwing passes sometimes. But I will say this: Ben Roethlisberger isn't some, weaponless guy. He's not a guy that's just he can't make plays anymore. But he's also you've seen how he's played throughout his career, right? He's never been the extra cerebral quarterback. He's always been instinctive. He's always bought more time and then made plays like, oh, I could just make that play. He can't do that part anymore all the time. He can't just take hits, throw them off, and then throw a 50-yard bomb. He has to be smarter, and he hasn't. He's still not that cerebral guy. But what I see out of Ben Roethlisberger is if you give him good one-on-one opportunities, he'll be able to hit them. You saw that last week in the fourth quarter against the Ravens when he led them to 17 fourth quarter points. He led them to, I think, 24 fourth quarter points or 27 fourth quarter points against the Chargers. So he's been a guy that's been starting to feel himself later, but a lot of this has to come from leaning on his weapons. That's the reason they got Najee Harris, the reason they got Pat Freiermuth. They wanted to give him opportunities to just say, hey, get it to this guy, let him make the people miss. That's been the bottom line for Ben Roethlisberger. He's not chucking the ball ball 50 yards down the field all the time anymore. He's looking to say, hey, catch this ball, run, beat the guy in front of you. Don't make me have to throw this ball 40 yards more than like 3 times a game.
Got you. Yeah, the one-on-one thing scared me because the Vikings have struggled in like one-on-one deep shots with DPI. And so I feel like take your DPI over. Okay, one more quarterback question. When Roethlisberger retires and the Vikings trade Kirk Cousins to the Steelers, should we draft Kenny Pickett?
No. Don't you do that over here. No. We just did a whole segment about Kirk Cousins and how you're scared of him. No, that's your guy. You keep
Come on,
there.
you take on. We'll take some of the money on. We'll take some, you get like 25 mil. We'll take 10 million extra on. We'll be in rebuilding mode anyways.
You know what? We'll take the 10. You take the 25. That sounds a lot like a fair deal. What you asking me? Putting Kirk Cousins on me. To get out of here with that, Luke. Yo, come on. Hey, so you know what Kirk Cousins used to say? You like that? I don't like that. That's where. There you go, right there. Shh.
Okay. In all seriousness, weapons, right? You mentioned Najee Harris and Freiermuth, but honestly, I'm a little more worried about the outside just because of the way the defense has been struggling this year. So tell me about Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson. I mean, who's the big play? Are those the big play guys, or is this somebody else?
No, it's mainly Deontay Johnson. Chase Claypool is still a guy that when you get the ball in his hands, he's dangerous because he is fast. He's tall, he's fast, and he is strong. Like he has it. But Chase Claypool does this thing where he jumps when he doesn't need to jump. Like you'll throw him a ball, it's like right here at his chest, and he'll still go up in the air and catch it.
The Charles Johnson. Yeah, we're familiar.
Yeah, exactly. And we're just like, huh? Why'd you do that? But again, second-year player. This time last year when Deontay Johnson is in his second year, everyone was looking at him like, what are you doing? Like you're dropping all these passes. But Deontay Johnson is the true weapon of this offense. He was the drop king last year. I think he had like 14 or 17 drops or something like that. I think he has 3 on the season right now. He leads the team with 916 receiving yards, 6 touchdown receptions. He is a polished route runner, and he is dangerous with the ball in his hands. He's the closest thing that they've had to an Antonio Brown since Antonio Brown has left, simply because of his shiftiness. He completes his routes, and now he's catching balls in traffic. He's very hard to press because of how shifty he is off the line of scrimmage. That's the guy that if I'm the Vikings, I circle him and I say, do not let this man beat you, because if he does, Ben Roethlisberger, with his arm at the state that it is, he can still get the ball out there, but he much prefers the more college open you can get. That's what he wants to do, because he knows that sometimes that ball will come out and it'll flutter a little bit, and if it's tight coverage, it's more likely to get picked. But Deontay Johnson, he gets such good separation. I mean, Marlon Humphrey, I'm not here to make fun of anyone for getting hurt, but the reason he got hurt and he's now out for the season, the Ravens' top cornerback, is because on a touchdown play, you saw Deontay Johnson go inside, stop really quickly, and go back outside. Humphrey reacted way too late and then had to dive to try and stop him, and it messed. And in the dive messed up his shoulder. And it was just Johnson has become that good. Where Marlon Humphrey used to be the guy that would take away the Steelers' number 1 guy.
Yeah.
Johnson took him out. So it's just that's how good he's gotten, and he's become the go-to guy for Ben Roethlisberger.
Very nice. I want to flip to the other side of the ball and check in on, I believe, the oldest defense in the league after the Vikings. How's it going over there? Are they tired yet?
Well, here's the thing. They're trying to stay healthy. That's been the biggest problem.
Yeah.
They're really the oldest defense in the league. That's the second oldest.
I thought so. I might be wrong.
Okay, so I think that might have been a factor a couple years ago, but they have really put in a lot of youth on this defense. Joe Hayden is old, yes. Cam Heyward is old, yes. But Tyson Alulu hasn't played, since like week 2. I
think he was part of that last I saw it.
Yeah, he's like 35 years old, so he like kind of ups the ante a bit there. But I mean, the thing is they're trying to find continuity. Now they do have the best defensive player in football in T.J. Watt. He's just a menace. 16 sacks in 10 games, and he just keeps getting better. He did 3.5 against the Ravens last week. He is the record there. But what they've been looking for is role guys. Minkah Fitzpatrick still an elite safety back there. He's now on a interception streak. He's had 1 in each of his last 2 games. But they need guys to fill in. Cam Heyward's been phenomenal, but they, without Stephon Tuitt, he's been gone all season long. He had 11 sacks last year as a interior defensive lineman. They were struggling to find an answer. They thought it was Isaiah Buggs out of Alabama. He hasn't really worked out. But last week they went and got Montravius Adams, a practice squad guy off the Saints, and he was huge against the Ravens. He was taking on double teams, and that's been the biggest factor is that Devin Bush, who came off his ACL injury this year, he had started really hot, played really well against the Bills, and then ever since then he's just fallen off a cliff. But it was because, in my estimation, a lot of offensive lines were getting to the second level and hitting him so much that it was like, I can't be the speed factor that I want to be. In his last Ravens game, he didn't have a great stat line, but you saw him cutting off plays a lot more often. The Steelers need those role players to fill in. They did that job against the Ravens. That allowed Minkah Fitzpatrick to have an interception, TJ Watt to have 3.5 sacks. Heck, Chris Wormley had 2.5 sacks, and he's a former Raven. So they still have the playmakers, but to allow the playmakers to be playmakers, they need the role players to step up. If I'm the Vikings, I'm looking at trying to find ways to use Justin Jefferson to get him matched up with Ahkello Witherspoon. He had a good week last week against the Ravens, but you look back and they haven't really trusted Witherspoon too much, and he will most likely start this game after after Joe Hayden. He'll still be out for like a third or fourth game in a row. Cam Sutton's a much more responsible cornerback. He's been more comfortable on the outside. So if I'm the Vikings, I'm going right at Ahkello Witherspoon, but it's going to be a question. Can the Steelers role players play like they did last week? If they do, this defense will have a chance to make big plays.
Got you. Excuse me. Got you. Yeah, that is it's been a really interesting thing for the Vikings is trying to get opportunities for Justin Jefferson. They targeted him 14 times last week, so they did it last week, but there have been times where he goes with like 5 targets, and the other team can just kind of double him all day, and the Vikings just fall apart. So it'll be interesting to see if the Vikings can find a way through all that, especially with, I'm going to guess there's going to be a lot of pressure in this one. We still have some talk to do here. That's going to be all that's going to be on my show on Locked On Vikings, but for Vikings fans, go check out Locked On Steelers, and you can find the rest of this conversation.
But before we do that, we got to talk to you guys about On Location. Super Bowl 56 is at SoFi Stadium, and it's less than 100 days away. And On Location, the official hospitality partner of the NFL, is the only place to score a once-in-a-lifetime Super Bowl ticket and experience package. Select your exact seats and choose from elite experiences featuring an exclusive pregame celebration with NFL legends, 5-star LA hotels, and food by the great Wolfgang Puck. Visit onlocation.exp.com/SB56 for more information or search Super Bowl On Location. That's onlocation.exp.com/SB56 or search Super Bowl On Location. And as always, we're brought to you by betonline.ag. BetOnline has you covered all season long, with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season continues the march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website app to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code LOCKEDON, that's LOCKEDON, locked on, in all caps, no spaces, to receive that welcome bonus. From basketball to football to NHL to boxing to UFC, right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season at BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports, and BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, Luke, it's time to talk some matchup situations. Now, we've talked about each team's injury wise and who you're looking at and saying like, man, this could be a big problem or this could be a good situation. But give me a matchup for the Vikings that you're really looking forward to say, hey, this can be the key to getting to victory. This could be the thing that you pick at a lot in this game to get a W, and then vice versa. The matchup that you're worried about, like, man, if they really go at this part here, the Vikings are in trouble.
Okay, I'll need your help because I don't know the Steelers that well. Do you have a good nickel corner, good slot corner?
Arthur Mollett.
Okay, Justin Jefferson versus him.
Okay.
They're going to do what LSU did with Justin Jefferson then. Put him in the slot, see if they can't catch you. I don't know how much man coverage y'all like to run, but if you run a lot of man coverage, put Justin Jefferson in the slot, have him run like smash fades and stuff and win at the catch point down the sideline. They love to run Justin Jefferson on fades, either from outside or the slot. That is like Kirk Cousins' favorite ball to Justin Jefferson. He throws it beautiful, beautiful sideline fades that are good for like 25 yards. And so if you have, how tall is Arthur Millette?
Not that tall.
He's like a short slot corner.
Yeah. Like not,
so he's just going to go high point it.
Not. Hold on, I'm actually going to Google this.
Have we got to dig at every other AFC North team in this now?
We're working on it. We're trying to get there. Let's see. Arthur
I'm super not bitter about losing to all of them.
5'10". He's 5'10". So I mean, that's
yeah.
not like
okay. So
short.
that's
me.
Yeah.
That's my height.
Who among us? Yeah. No. Justin Jefferson high pointing balls against that is a matchup I would say. What about you? What is a matchup you're feasting on?
I mean, you have to look at the pass rush. We talked about it before, but
Yep.
the Steelers last week was actually very interesting because most of the pressure the Steelers had gotten this year was from not blitzing. They were just sending forward. They said, we trust TJ Watt, Cam Heyward, Alex Highsmith, and then the mix of whoever has played the other interior defensive line spot to just get pressure with forward. But last week against the Ravens, they started blitzing. They blitzed more than any other team than they played all season, and they got 7 sacks on Lamar Jackson. I can see them maybe trying to do that. A big thing, though, to protect against, though, like you said, with Justin Jefferson, I'm really intrigued to see if he draws the Minkah Fitzpatrick treatment, because what the Steelers have done when they find, like against the Raiders, and this is what allowed Henry Ruggs to break out, but like they said, Darren Waller, you're not getting a clean matchup, buddy. Everywhere you go, Minkah Fitzpatrick will be over top of you, and that gives one-on-one opportunities. So that's where I'm intrigued to see. But I think the pressure working with the coverage. That was the other part of last week. It wasn't just they just got pressure on Lamar Jackson the whole time. They were having good coverage around the field and not giving him that many open looks, so then it became coverage sacks. But that pressure has to work in this game to be able to save them from Kirk Cousins being comfortable and being in rhythm, like you said, the way he likes to be.
Boy, do I have good news for you.
No. No.
Okay, do you have a strong nose tackle, like a power nose tackle?
I mean, if Montravius Adams is again this week, he wasn't really. He hasn't really been. Tyson Alulu was supposed to be that, and he was a huge part of what they were hoping to bring
like a
back.
Big Vince Wilfork zero tech type.
Yeah, nah, they don't got
Okay.
that. What they have is Cam Heyward up front. He will be a monster to stop in the middle, but he's not a nose tackle unless they choose to use him that way. I don't think they will. Montravius Adams played well last week, but again, practice squad guy 1 week. We'll see if he does that in back-to-back weeks on a short week.
Got you. Yeah. So the Vikings currently, because they've had this whole drama at center with Garrett Bradbury, the first round pick, who got benched in the middle of the season from Mason Cole, who was a third round pick for the Cardinals a bunch of years ago, who they traded for. Now Mason Cole has moved to right guard because they had to move Oli Udoh, who was playing at right guard, to left tackle. Okay. And Bradbury's back at center. Bradbury is not a strong center. His whole deal is that he gets bull rushed backwards. He's got good technique, he's good in the run and all that stuff, but he gets bull rushed backwards. So if you have a nose tackle with a bull rush, him against Garrett Bradbury scares the bejesus out of me.
See, that could be a factor in this game. Again, Montravius Adams doesn't come off as the guy who's going to like completely destroy someone in front of him, but what he's done and what the Steelers need to happen in this game is for him, Wormley, and Heyward to just hold down that defensive front and keep Devin Bush and Joe Schobert clean so that they can make tackles on the run game. Because that's going to be my big thing here is, yeah, the Vikings offensive line is beat up, but what's killed the Steelers in a lot of the games they've lost this year is that they have allowed run games to go unchecked. That's how the Lions tied them, essentially. They just ran the ball. Jared Goff didn't have to do much in that game. That's how the Bengals really beat them. You look at that game. Joe Burrow, I mean, he was efficient, but he wasn't deadly. And it was Joe Mixon who killed them. So I look at this as saying, hey, you know what? A big weakness that I see that could work in the Vikings' favor is if, the Steelers played well against the run last week, but can they keep doing that? They played the run well against the Browns too, and then we saw them giving up a bunch of yards to other teams after that. So if I'm the Vikings, I know Dalvin Cook might not play in this game, but I'm trying to figure out a way. Can we access this? Because guys like Alex Collins, guys like I'm just gonna start blanking on all the backup running backs they played this year. Jamal Williams from the Lions, but just guys that you wouldn't think would be big problems have been big problems for the Steelers. And if I'm the Vikings, I'm trying to find a way to see if can these guys get busy and challenge the Steelers to tackle us in space. Yeah.
So the two backups. So you know about that. Alexander Madison, I'm kind of a hater of his, but he has gotten a lot of yards and stuff. I don't like his vision, but he's a thumper. Like he'll fight through tackles, and he's really difficult to bring down and fall forward for 3 yards.
The Steelers have a tackling problem right now.
Well, yeah, he's a fall forward for 3 yards kind of guy. And then the next running back is Kene Wangu, who's a rookie out of Iowa State. You probably remember him as a kick returner, which is like most of his deal.
I do.
He's in at running back in sparingly too, and he is like a 4.3 blazing fast jet sweep guy. And they haven't quite been able to get that going because he's got his vision. He's a rookie and he's not seeing the field and stuff. But there's your running backs. So we might ruin some run plays on our own, just not seeing the right hole. But if you can get to the second level, start fighting through guys, then maybe the Vikings have an advantage there.
That could be something to look out for, Luke. This is going to be an interesting matchup. We will.
That's one word for it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was like, woo, baby, yeah. Thursday
over under football. Third quarter when you fall asleep.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I wish I could fall asleep in the third quarter, but still, it's going to be a game that I think the Steelers fans still have hope that they can fight back. I mean, the AFC is a complete mess over here, so it's like the Ravens are falling apart. The Titans haven't been all that. The Browns aren't who they say they were. The Bengals will be elite one week and then trash the next. The Steelers are the same way. It's just kind of just stay alive is what the story in the AFC is right now. So that's what the Steelers are hoping. That's what Steelers fans are hoping their team can do Thursday night in Minnesota. Luke, thanks so much for doing the show with me. It's always a pleasure to do crossover Thursdays with you. Let me know they can find you, follow you, and get more of your work.
Yep. You can find me at Luke Braun NFL on Twitter. Shows at Locked On Vikings on Twitter. You can find Locked On Vikings podcast anywhere you find this podcast, Locked On Steelers. And I also write twice a week at zonecoverage.com, covering mostly the Vikings. Sometimes I'll actually do a Packer article here or there in the postseason. Might do that again.
That doesn't hurt you when you do that? Because
oh, deeply. But so does, the Vikings hurt me too. So it's just,
it's like
it's a world of pain.
Syndrome. It's just like, I've accepted
this is the bad place. I've accepted that.
We hope that it does get better for the Vikings soon. Just not this week.
Maybe not today.
Maybe not today.
Right?
But Luke, it's always a pleasure to do this show with you. I'm Chris Carter of the Locked On Steelers podcast. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Carter Critiques. Read my work at DKPittsburghSports.com, where I cover the Steelers and Pitt football and basketball. Also, you can check out Locked On Steelers, just like you check out Locked On Vikings on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, and YouTube. Hit this like button and subscribe button if you're seeing this video on there. It helps both of our channels out. Thanks so much for checking us out. Be sure to tune in to Thursday Night Football. Should be a dinger.